In my last few videos, I asked you if you had any questions for me, reseller related, personal, whatever you wanted to ask. Many of you sent me some questions, and here are my answers.
Won't nobody love you the way they should. Won't nobody check up on you, make sure you're good. Won't nobody check those body tremors for your neck.
Hi everyone, my name is Becky Park and I'm a part-time reseller on Poshmark. When I'm not poshing, I am a high school choir teacher full-time. I also am married with 2 kids, and I just started this YouTube channel to document my reselling journey, especially from the perspective of someone who does have a full-time job, is busy raising a family, and just trying to show how I wear all those hats and juggle all those different things. I uploaded my first video on YouTube on February 18th, so it's been basically exactly 3 months, and within that time I have been able to get 1,000 subscribers, which is amazing. So thank you guys so much for being along for the ride. As I mentioned earlier, I did ask in my last few videos, as well as on my Instagram last night, what are some questions that you have for me? Because I know one thing that I enjoy watching from other resellers is Q&A questions, because after watching so many videos from them on how to resell and make money online, I also kind of want to just learn more about their personal life and what they do for fun, or what kind of food is it, I don't know, because I just want to know more about the person who's teaching me all of this valuable stuff. So I thought that if anyone had any burning questions in their heart about me and who I am, I would answer them for you in this video. So there were many people who left some great questions, and I'm just gonna go through them in order. There are a couple questions that were asked by multiple people, so I'll obviously only answer those questions once. I'll try to be as thorough as I can without getting too drawn out and boring, because if you know anything about me, I can talk and talk and talk and talk, and I'm sure you're not here for that. So I'm gonna try to get through as many questions as I can before I need to leave for school. So here we go. Okay, the first question comes from Lot of Josh. If you're not following him, please do. He and I joke around about how we are siblings from another mother. He's Korean as well. His dad also was a pastor. I mean, we have a lot of connections. He is right now based, I believe, around Atlanta, and he sells primarily on eBay, although he also sells on Poshmark. He is a great person on YouTube sharing his wealth of knowledge, so I definitely would recommend checking out his channel after you finish watching this video here. But his question was, best or most interesting flip you've ever made, and favorite hobbies or things to do not related to reselling. I don't have any like super interesting flips. I'd say like the most interesting, and it kind of also happened to be my best flip. I've talked about this garage sale that my students and I had at our school. We actually had 2 of them, and we had these garage sales to raise money for these kids to go to New York. And one of my students' parents went back to their mom's house, so like my student's grandmother's house, over some break, and they came back with like a carload, like a truckload full of stuff from the grandmother's house. And it was all this clothes and even furniture, and she had quite a collection of nice clothes. She had some of your stereotypical nicer stuff like Cole Haan shoes or things like that, but she was really into art to wear, and she was really into a lot of these designers who maybe aren't as well known, a lot of art to wear designers. So among the brands that were brought back from Michigan from this grandmother's house were brands like Angela Frascone, Babette SF, Simply, that's a Canadian brand. There were all these articles of clothing that I could tell were really good quality. I just didn't know anything about the brand. So it was a really good excuse for me to do some research and learn some more information about some new to me brands. But one of the pieces was this purple 100% alpaca jacket by, I want to say, Babette SF. I still didn't know very much about this brand. I didn't really know very much even about alpaca and if that was a good brand or not. This was still pretty early in my reselling journey, and so I remember just kind of vaguely searching for alpaca and seeing that the comps were pretty high for clothes made out of this material, and given the fact that on top of that it was a jacket, and also the fact that this brand, for the few comps that there were for Babette SF, that they were pretty high, I just kind of took a shot in the dark and listed it for $100, and someone bought it outright at $100. It did not sell overnight. It was a long tail flip, but it did eventually sell for full price, and that was really cool. So that was probably my most interesting and best flip thus far, because I didn't pay anything for that, but I also didn't get to keep the profit from that sale because I donated it back to my kids. As far as favorite hobbies, I don't have any anymore. I feel like Poshmark has completely taken over my life, especially any free time that I have. My pre-Poshmark life, I used to do things like read. Like, I really love Harry Potter, and I have reread the Harry Potter series probably, I'm not exaggerating, at least 15 times. That's a very conservative number. It's probably more like in the 20s, but I've reread that series over and over and over again. I love Harry Potter so much. But I just like to read. I read a little of everything. I also got like super hardcore into gardening a few years ago, but I have not done any gardening this year or last because of Poshmark. Also because of my kids. My youngest one, when we're home together, like all he wants to do is be with me. So I can't really go outside and garden because he'll want to come with. And not that I'm like opposed to him gardening with me, but a lot of the stuff that I have to do is stuff that like I can't do with him. It's like weeding, or like we have these weeds that are taller than me right now, and they're those thorny ones, and I don't really want him near that because I don't want him getting those like thorns stuck in his fingers or anything. I used to do some DIY stuff with furniture. I'll show you a couple pictures if I can find them, but like for example, we made our own shiplap wall, and so I stained and painted a bunch of these like boards, and then my husband and a friend stapled them up to our wall. I used Annie Sloan chalk paint to give this one desk that I bought off of Craigslist a makeover. I made like a little jewelry thing for our room. I mean, I used to like to do stuff like that, but I feel like with kids and with Poshmark and my work, I don't really have a whole lot of hobbies or things like that I get to invest a lot of my own time in. So I don't know, not like a whole lot of, not really anything interesting to say there about that. Sorry, Josh. Soshi Fan on YouTube asked, what's been your biggest thrifting bust and your biggest success? I kind of already talked about my biggest success, and there might have been other successes that I just can't remember, but I think that $100 alpaca Babette SF jacket is probably my biggest success to date. My biggest thrifting bust, however, is actually documented on film. It's in my thrift haul from the consignment sale, and I'll link that right here. But at that thrift haul, I came across this Michael Kors bag, and it was priced at like $7 or $7.50 or something. I was in such a rush that I just saw that it was in good condition, and I just picked it up. I brought it home, and after doing the haul, I realized there's no way that this thing is real. So that's kind of sad, but it was only $7.50 at the most. So if anything, I'm trying to have a garage sale in a few weeks, and I'll just try to sell it there. Obviously, I'll let people know that it's not real, but that was like my biggest, latest bust. I've had like situations where I've bought blazers and brought them home and realized that every single button was missing. Like not even just like the button along the front, but like the buttons here, like every single button that was ever on this blazer was now nowhere to be found. I've done dumb stuff like that, you know, so I have a lot more busts than I care for, and I'm trying to be better about it, but sometimes you're just in a hurry, or sometimes you just miss things. Like I was just steaming some clothes last night, and I have this men's Tommy Bahama 100% linen shirt that I've been holding on to forever because I just never got around to steaming it. And as I steamed it, I saw that there's a giant hole on the back along the hem. So you miss things, you know, but that's okay. Tori Oakley. I love Tori Oakley mainly because she actually used to be my daughter's daycare teacher. So that's really exciting that she has learned about reselling. I think when I first started on YouTube, I put something on my Facebook about it, and I think she came over to YouTube and started watching some of my videos, and now she's selling on Poshmark, which is so amazing. But she asks, what does your dream day look like? First concert you attended and highest valued item you've sold. I already answered that last question, so I won't get into that one again. What does your dream day look like? It involves a beach of some sort because I love the ocean and I love the sound of waves and just the smell of like the salt. And so definitely being on the ocean somewhere, preferably like Hawaii or something. And then like having a dance party with my kids. That's like one of my favorite things to do because they are so funny when they're dancing. They're just so funny. And that's a really enjoyable way for me to spend some time with my kids. It's just for us to dance our faces off because they're really good at it. Thrifting would be nice if you could throw that into my dream day. Eating some good food with my husband. Just like getting to sit back and like do nothing with my husband. It's hard in our life stage right now to even have a simple conversation with one another. Like literally when we do try to talk, my husband will turn to us and be like, shh, shh, shh. Like he like shushes us because he is upset that we are not paying attention to him. So it's really hard to even have conversations about things that we have to talk about, let alone just enjoy one another's company. So, like a dinner away from the kids or something would be really nice too. So lots of weird random elements to my favorite day, to my dream day, but yeah. Something along those lines. First concert I attended was a Red Hot Chili Peppers concert in high school. Hannah Bellows asks, what is your pricing strategy and when do you decide not to accept an offer? Meaning, what percentage of a discount makes you counter instead of accepting the offer? I know you never decline, but does countering always work for you? I tend to lose sales when I counter, so I'm a little scared to negotiate these days. Girl, I feel you. I feel you because, negotiating is such a skill. But it's so hard to do online when you're not like face to face with the person. So it's one thing when you go to garage sales and you're negotiating because you're able to read that person's face and their body language and get an idea of if they're even motivated to sell this item, if you even have a chance when it comes to trying to get a few dollars off of this item. When you're doing it all online though, like you have no idea if this person really wants your item or not. You have no idea if you should just accept or if they will actually be willing to take a few more dollars. So, this is kind of a cop-out answer, but I'd say it really depends on the item. So certain items, if I know that it's super desirable, I know that I've priced it well, and I'm confident that a buyer will come along for it, I will definitely hold out. I won't decline, but I will let the buyer know what I'm willing to counter and I won't budge from that number. So I will just keep offering the same price over and over again. So let's say I have like a $30 item and someone offers 15 and the lowest I'm willing to go is 26. So I'll counter with 26 and then if the person comes up to like 16, I'll still counter with 26. Maybe they come up to 17. I'll send them a $26 offer. Like I'll just keep going until they get the idea. Like, look, I'm not gonna go lower than 26. And yeah, a lot of times you're right. They will decline because they're just really wanting to get it for super cheap. And that's fine, that's their business. But at that moment, I'm not willing to negotiate any lower on that price because I don't find a lot of those in-demand pieces the way that other people sometimes are able to. A lot of the pieces that I find are hopefully brands that people like and styles that people like, but they're not like the it item of the moment. So for the most part, I am willing to negotiate and meet someone in the middle. Now, as far as just accepting offers, I will definitely accept something if I've had it for a really long time and this is like the first offer that I've gotten on it. At that point, there's no way I'm going to be greedy and risk the chance of losing out on this sale and getting rid of this item. I sometimes will also just say yes to offers because a lot of people have said, and I do feel that this is true to some extent given my own experiences as well. A lot of people have said that when you accept an offer, it sets the wheels in motion for there to be more traffic in your store, including more offers and more purchases and things of that nature. So sometimes I will take a few dollars less on an item in hopes that because of that sale, it will spark more sales later that day, if that makes sense. But yeah, Hannah, I feel you 100% in the sense that a lot of times I feel like the second I don't just accept someone's offer, they decline any reasonable offer I do send their way. There are a lot of people who are just looking to get things for dirt cheap, and if you're not willing to sell things for dirt cheap, then you're not the seller for them, and that's okay. Because someone will come along who will buy your item, hopefully at a reasonable price. If this keeps happening though, one thing that you may want to consider is maybe I don't have my items priced well, and it might not be a bad idea to check comps again for whatever particular item it is that you're holding on to. So a lot of things to consider, but it's definitely not a one-size-fits-all when it comes to how I do my pricing strategy. Next question comes from Maria S. How can I get my background to be very white in pictures? I have the light boxes, but some pictures still come out darker. I have a hard time with this too. I don't have a very sophisticated lighting setup. I just use a wall in our kids' playroom, and the wall is painted kind of like a light blue, so it's not even white. And I mean, you can see it here. It's the same wall. It has like this texture to it, which I'm not a huge fan of. But I know some people, they purchase like those screens, and so you can like not have the screen down all the time. You can like pull the screen and it'll go up into its case or whatever, so that, you know, it's not always in the way. Some people just use like white butcher paper. Some people are like you and they use the light boxes. So for me personally, to achieve that crisp white background, I use my editing tools just on my phone's photo app. I will change the exposure so that the white in the background is even whiter. And I'll also use the free photo editing app Snapseed. Actually, on my Instagram, which my Instagram handle is @BeckyParkOnPoshmark, I have a whole tutorial on how to use Snapseed to achieve that crisp white background you're talking about. So you can check that out. I know a lot of people are like, you can use Pick-Tap-Go to get the same effect, or you can use this or that. Someone on my Instagram actually commented and said that if you sell on Amazon, if you use the Amazon Seller Tool app, they have a way where they can like instantaneously just make the background of your picture white. Cool, like I want to actually play around with that. But I know that like my tutorial on Instagram it makes it seem like it takes a long time and it's a lot of work, and it is. Like it is a lot of work to get it from this to crisp white background, but that's the process that I have found to be the most successful. So that's what I would recommend. But I'm sure that there are a lot of other people out there who have other suggestions, and so I would just keep searching and see what works for you. Tara Ludi asks, can your husband train mine? This is in response to one of my videos. I'll link it here, but I talk about how my husband does all the laundry in our house and how he's really good at getting stains out. I think that's what she's referring to when she says, can your husband train mine? I'll send you a PayPal invoice. Why don't you just send me your email and I'll send you an invoice on that training. Yeah, he just, you know, his parents worked at a dry cleaner, so maybe that had something to do with it. Haley Pete, how many times a week do you thrift, and do you have a limit to how much you will spend per week? It depends on the week. Like, I'm not one of those people that like, you know, have a set day of the week that they always go thrifting, or, you know, I don't have a budget for myself of like, in any given week I can only spend $100. And that's because my life and my schedule is not very predictable like that. Every week is so different. I always have these big thrifting events that I try to make sure I clear my schedule for. So things like fill a bag sales or consignment sales. And I will try to not go thrifting at like Goodwill's or Salvation Army prior to that, so that I don't feel guilty about spending a few $100s at those bigger events. But when there aren't things like that happening, you know, it just depends. During the school year, I'm lucky if I can go thrifting once a week. But during the summer, it's like I can go every day if I want, because I have the time to do that. So, I mean, it really depends. It depends on the week. And as far as how much, I'm looking for the question again. Do I have a limit to how much I'll spend? No, not really. But, you know, if my sales haven't been that great, it's just a reminder to me to be pickier, and I won't pick up as much. So I just try to kind of limit myself, but I don't have a spending limit for myself, if that makes sense. Crystal Darling 85 asks, is there any brand that you always pick up when you see it, or do you base buys mostly on style? I don't think there is a brand that I will pick up no matter what. Obviously the condition of the item has to be right. The style has to be right. It has to be on trend. So I've passed up some decent brands because, you know, either they just weren't in very good condition, or they were really, you could tell that they were a much, much older style. So it is a combination of both brand and just what it looks like and the style and whether I feel like it'll actually sell. That's a good question. Maria S. asks, would you please explain how to send textbooks or any stuff to Amazon FBA? I have a ton of books from both my undergrad and grad degrees, and I would love to get them all out of my house. Yes, I understand that. And I understand that feeling too, of knowing that you paid so much for these books and you want to get a decent return back on them. Let me just say this first, and I'll like say it a billion times throughout this video. I am not an Amazon FBA expert by all means. Like I should go back and look. I've probably made like $200 to $300 on Amazon FBA, which isn't horrible. And that was really just like a few weeks work. But I'm not an expert. If you want to learn more about Amazon FBA, I would definitely recommend following Rake and Profit. I learned a lot from him. Reezy Resells, he's one of the people that taught me how to sell books. Hustle at Home Mom, she also does a lot on Amazon FBA, and I think she has some like step-by-step tutorials on how to do all things Amazon FBA, which are really helpful. Basically, if I were to like oversimplify it and just kind of summarize what the process is like, basically what you do is you find the books that you're going to sell, you make sure that Amazon even wants your books, and if you download the Amazon Seller app, it's pretty nice because you can take a picture or even just like scan the barcode or even just scan the front of your book. And what will happen is a screen will pop up where it tells you everything you really need to know about that book and how well it will do on Amazon. It'll tell you how much it will sell for. It'll tell you how many other people are selling this book. It'll tell you what the rank is. So on Amazon, like the smaller the rank number, the higher the chances are of you selling this item and selling it quickly. So if it's like a #1 rank, that means that book is like sold on its way from your house to the warehouse. You know, like that means it's super hot. Everyone wants this book. It's going to sell within like hours. So that app is great because it helps you not make too many mistakes in terms of like what it is that you're picking up. First, you want to make sure that Amazon even wants your books. Once you have figured out what is worth sending into Amazon, you're going to clean your books up, which means you're going to take off any stickers or whatever may be on those books. Maybe if there's like a lot of writing on the inside of the books, if you want to take the time to like erase them, you don't have to. You just put in the description that there are markings and stuff inside the book. After you have your books cleaned up, you're going to print new barcodes, like new labels for each book, actually for each item that you're selling. And there's like a way that you do that through the Amazon Seller website. You print out the labels, you slap them on your book, you scan each book into, it's been so long since I've done it, so I'm just like trying to go off my memory here. But you scan each book into the system, you let them know that you're gonna sell at Amazon FBA versus Amazon Merchant Fulfilled. And the difference between the two is who's doing the shipping. If you're doing Amazon FBA, that means you're gonna ship it to an Amazon warehouse, and once the book sells, they're gonna ship it out for you, and they're also going to take care of any kind of customer service issues that there may be. And then if you do Amazon Merchant Fulfilled, that means when the item sells, you're going to ship it out. And then if there are any customer service issues, you have to deal with it. Amazon FBA does come with a few more fees because they're taking care of more stuff for you, but you know, that's the price you pay. Also, one more thing that's associated with Amazon FBA is for people who shop Amazon Prime, they will get that Prime shipping. So they'll get that guaranteed 2-day shipping, which most people want these days. But yeah, so you get all of your items in a box, you print out all the stuff that's supposed to be in your box, you can print out a label direct from the Amazon website. I believe you can choose to send it either FedEx or I think it's UPS. And for me, I've sent a few boxes in, and every time FedEx was cheaper, so I always went through FedEx. And then you just take your box to FedEx or UPS or wherever, and you ship your stuff out, and you just wait as Amazon sells your stuff, and it's pretty nice. But let me just say one more time, I am not an expert. I am not an Amazon FBA expert. So if you want to learn more, definitely make sure that you check out some of those other YouTubers that I mentioned. Also, if you're interested in seeing me attempt to do more Amazon FBA this summer, let me know. I know that my YouTube channel is Becky Park on Poshmark, but I have dabbled in Amazon FBA and Mercari and even eBay. So if you're interested in seeing me try my best at those other platforms, let me know. Soshi Fan asks, how much do you keep for yourself from hauls? I actually don't keep that much. I also, it's harder to find stuff in my size. I wear like an extra small or a 0. So when I do find stuff, I keep it. But also, if it's like a really good brand, I'll always sell it first. I like fashion, but I am not a slave to it. I don't really care about name brands and stuff that much, especially if it means that I have to sacrifice making money. You know, like I'd rather make money on the item than keep it for myself. Like, who do I need to look good for anyway, right? So even right now, like this shirt that I'm wearing was thrifted and it's like a no-name brand. I don't even know if it has a brand label on the back. And like my sweater is from Forever 21. So that goes to show you how much I care about wearing designer things. I used to care a lot, but I don't really anymore. So I keep things here and there, but if it can sell for a good amount, I'm gonna sell it. Teenage Jesus Superstar asks, would you say making these videos related to Poshmark and linking your Posh closet increases your sales? I know of one sale that for sure came from like a haul video. Other than that, I don't know that I'm making that many sales because of YouTube. I do think more people visit my Poshmark closet and will like share items, which is really nice, and people will leave really nice comments in my on my like about me page on Poshmark, but I don't know if I've really actually made more sales. And to be honest, that's not the reason why I started on YouTube anyway, so I'm okay with that. But no, I don't really see a huge growth in my sales because of my YouTube channel. Okay, the next set of questions actually came from Instagram, so I'll try to get through these really quickly. Reseller Styler asks, what's the average selling price of your items? I feel like I always compromise for the sale. Honestly, my average sales price is really low, and I don't know like the exact amount, but it's for sure less than $20. But that's because I'm still selling through a lot of my own personal items, and I also sell a lot of stuff that I get from people for free. So I have a pretty big circle, I feel like, just a big network of people here in town where I live. I attend a big church. I know a lot of people from my full-time job. So I feel like now that people know that I sell clothes online, a lot of people are willing to just give me their clothes for free that they don't wear anymore. And so a lot of those items I will take in and I'll look through everything, and if I can make a buck or two on each item, I'll throw it up on Poshmark and try to sell it. So I'm not looking at huge profits on a lot of those items, but I'm okay with that because I got those pieces for absolutely free. And you know, for every like 5 Loft shirts or 5 Gap sweaters or whatever, there's always like one pretty decent thing. So yeah, I mean, free inventory is free inventory and free money is free money. So I'm willing to list those items that I may not make a whole lot on, because why not? Like, why not? I'm also not living in an area where the thrift stores are abundant with like amazing items. So it's not even like I am selling these things in place of better, higher ticket items, because it's not even a guarantee that there are those higher ticket items at the Goodwill waiting for me. So I would rather not have to take that time to go sourcing and just come home frustrated because I wasn't able to find anything. And I'd rather just list stuff that friends give me and make a few dollars here and there. I'm okay with that. Rosie Vibes Only asks, do you ever want to quit your current teaching job and resell full-time? Another person asked me something pretty similar. Kayla McSmith asked me the same thing. It's funny because I have students who follow me on my reselling Instagram and who also are subscribed to my channel. So first, let me just say, no, I'm not gonna go full-time as a reseller anytime soon. Or anytime at all. Like, as far as I can tell at this moment, I'm not gonna go full-time, ever. There are days though that school is so unbelievably frustrating and draining, and I'm like, I'm done. Like, I'm done teaching. I have to stop. Like, this is sucking the life out of me. Cause it's hard. Teaching is hard. Dealing with high schoolers is hard. Especially when you teach at a school like the school that I teach at. There are a lot of students there who are just not really motivated to learn. It's hard to teach students who don't want to be there and who are not motivated to learn and who don't care if they flunk your class. Like, it's hard. But I think that every time I kind of reach my breaking point, there's always something that happens that I'm like, oh, like this is why I teach, or I'm changing lives, or, you know, like something always happens to kind of just like put things back in perspective for me. I do love teaching though. It is a passion of mine, and I went into it because I knew that I wanted to do something where I was impacting people. And there are so many days that I know I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. However, if I were to go into reselling full-time, it would not be because of the kids and how difficult it is to teach them or anything like that. it would be because of the prospect of being your own boss and not having to answer to anyone and not having this crazy schedule that comes with teaching choir at the high school level. It would be for those reasons that I became a reseller full time. But the truth of the matter is, right now, just the way that our household is set up and with our house and our mortgage and all that kind of stuff. My husband's a teacher too, actually. He teaches first grade. So everything that we do right now is dependent on both of our salaries. And so in order for me to be a reseller full time, I'd have to be able to prove that I can make the same amount as I make as a teacher and then some, because reselling doesn't come with benefits or health insurance. So I'm definitely not at that place yet as a reseller where I'm making the same amount as my teaching salary. But at this moment, no, I have no times to resell full time. As you can see, I am no longer at home, but I am in my office at school, and I thought that I would finish the video up here since I don't know how crazy it's gonna be when I get home and if it'll be quiet enough for me to film. The next question is such a deep and kind of profound one, and I know that I'm not going to do it justice by trying to answer it, but I'll do my best. It comes from I Sew Posh Life, and her question is, why aren't there more minority poshers? Does anyone else pay attention to this? This is a hard question. And when you talk about minority poshers, you're talking about a big population of people. And I know that I can't speak on behalf of all of them. In fact, I can't really speak on behalf of anyone. I can really only tell my story. But I feel like I have more of a qualification to speak on behalf of other Asian American females, specifically Korean American females. When I think about why there aren't more of us selling on Poshmark, I think it's for two main reasons. One, I think it's because of the pressure that has been put on us since a young age to do something substantial with our lives. Many people in my parents' generation immigrated here from Korea. They wanted more opportunity for themselves and for their kids, mainly for their kids. They wanted their kids to have the shot at the American dream. And in order for that to happen, they themselves worked kind of these menial jobs and gave up jobs of status back in Korea so that they could be in America. So, there's that stereotype that all Koreans worked at dry cleaners or they work at restaurants or they do these jobs that are very labor intensive, but they did it for the sake of their kids being here and receiving an American education. For their children, there's this immense pressure for them to do well in school and to live the life that their parents moved to America for them to have. That's kind of the struggle that a lot of my peers have dealt with as we've grown up, is just that feeling of this is what my parents have dreamed for me and this is what they want for me versus this is what I want to do for myself and this is the kind of life that I want to live. I'm really lucky because while my parents are pretty traditional, they were very open to me doing whatever I wanted to do and whatever I knew was going to make me happy. So by the time I was 12, I knew that I wanted to teach choir. And even though my mom did sometimes try to sway me in a different direction, she'd be like, well, you like to argue with me. Don't you want to be a lawyer? I was like, no, I don't. I know a lot of other people who did not get that same kind of support from their parents. So that's one reason why I think there aren't a lot of at least Korean American resellers, is because our parents wanted us to forge this more traditional and safe path of jobs that were of high status, and they provided security with health insurance and benefits and things like that. And reselling is not a steady income per se. You don't get a paycheck every other week, but it's how much you put in, you get out. And just that idea of like, well, I make money by buying other people's used junk does not really sit well with our parents' generation. My parents, however, they think it's pretty cool. Like my dad will go to my Poshmark closet and look at it and he's like, wow, like you took all these pictures and you're selling all this stuff and you're shipping it out to them. Like he thinks it's the bee's knees. So like I said, my parents are not super typical, and for that I am so thankful. That's the reason why representation is really important. I credit the fact that I am a high school choir teacher to the fact that when I was in a children's choir as a child, I had a really great role model in a Korean American woman who was directing our choir. She was also petite. but she was strong, she was confident, she was loud, she was good at what she did, and she was unapologetic about it. And for me to see an example of a woman who looked like me, who could lead with such tenacity and confidence, that set me up for the rest of my life. I mean, because I saw someone that looked like me do that, I knew that I could do that one day. And that's what I'm doing now. And that's honestly one of the reasons why I wanted to get on YouTube in the first place. And my hope is that maybe there is a little Asian girl out there somewhere who just does not have it in her to have to work for somebody else, and she really wants to be her own boss, and she wants to do something different than what society is telling her she should do. And maybe this will be the spark that she needs to forge her own path and try reselling or try whatever it might be. It doesn't have to be reselling, but that she would know and understand that she can do her own thing. So I apologize for that kind of long and drawn out answer with a lot of history and like sociological stuff to it, but it was a big question. But it's cool when I see other minorities on YouTube, and I think it's important. It's important for people to see people on screen that look like them, and if I can do that for one person, awesome. Next question comes from Shop Celine Boutique, and she asks, how did you get to 1,000 subs so fast? That's awesome. I bought all my subs. No, I'm joking. I did not buy them, I promise. When I am passionate about something, I do a lot of research before I do it. So when I thought about doing a YouTube channel, I did a lot of research on how to create a successful YouTube channel, because I know for myself, like, it would be really hard for me to be motivated to continue making videos and posting them online if no one was watching them. So for me, I wanted to make sure that if I was taking the time to make content, I wanted to make sure that there would be people watching it. Otherwise, it's like, why am I doing it? And so I watched a lot of people on YouTube like Vanessa Lau, I love her, Sunny Lenarduzzi, and Sean Cannell and Benji, I forget his last name, over at Think Media. And they also have the channel Video Influencers. They share so many great tips on how to be successful on YouTube. And I basically just followed their advice to a T. Like everything that they said to do, I was like, okay. And I also think that one thing that was helpful in helping my YouTube channel grow was just to be consistent and make sure that I was uploading at least one video a week. And the last couple months I've been uploading 2 a week, and I think that people know that I'm going to continue to create and provide content, and so they keep coming back for more. I think another thing that was helpful was creating kind of like a series that people could look forward to. So for me, I do my What Sold videos every week, and even though they're not super impressive, I'm not posting crazy numbers or anything. It's something consistent that people can count on, and I think that it's really the consistency and the research that I put in before even launching my channel that has helped me grow so fast. Yeah, it's been really fun and exciting, and people have been amazing on YouTube, just really kind and generous. So I'm really enjoying my time on YouTube so far. Daya Shah 2 asks, how was Poshmark when you first started out? It wasn't that different. I joined Poshmark on like December 27th of 2017 or something like that. So it's been over a year. When I first joined, there was no offers to likers. I don't think that there was like the bundling feature where you could talk to people within it. So obviously there also wasn't like make a deal days, but it wasn't that different. The markets weren't there yet. Yeah, not like too crazy. I'm not one of the OG poshers, so I don't, it's not like I was there when it first started and you couldn't even message people or anything like that. BC asked how I felt about the new home department that Poshmark just released, or the home goods category, or whatever you want to call it, market, and if I'm going to start utilizing it. I'm actually sorry, I have low battery. I'm actually pretty excited about it. And I think I'm actually more excited about it from a buyer standpoint than I am from a seller standpoint, just because I feel like I would definitely utilize that as a shopper. Prices at places like Crate and Barrel and West Elm and Pottery Barn are so ridiculous sometimes. So being able to buy things secondhand for home goods, I think that would be really cool. Now, as far as if I'm going to be expanding how I thrift and how I shop to see if I can utilize those items in my own Poshmark closet, I'm not going to rule it out. I think it's definitely you know, an opportunity. So definitely with the summer coming up and with more time to go thrifting and more time to especially go garage sailing, now that I know that that is a market coming to Poshmark, it's coming May 30th, I believe. And now that I know that that is something that is on the horizon, I'll definitely thrift with that in mind, you know? I'm like thinking about what I have in my house right now, and I don't really know that there's anything that I could sell, but it definitely will make me look at everything in my house a little bit differently. So, but yeah, I think it's pretty interesting and kind of cool. I know a lot of people are a little worried that Poshmark is going to become a little cluttered with clothes and house goods, but you know, that's what the Posh markets are for. You can decide what you see on your feed, and if you don't want to see people's old dishes and clocks and what have you, then you could just choose to not see that market, I think. Last but not least, Teenage Jesus Superstar also asked me what kind of video editing software I use. I just use iMovie. I don't use anything fancy. I'm super stingy and frugal when it comes to my business for whatever reason, which is dumb. I should invest in something like Final Cut, is that what it's called? Or just in something better, but I've just been using iMovie, and especially because I'm a beginner, I didn't want to overwhelm myself with a software that was too difficult to use or like a professional grade software. So I just use iMovie, and yeah, I mean, it gets the job done. So yeah. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me for my reseller Q&A video. I hope I was able to answer some of the questions that you may have had about me and my life and just who I am. I also wanted to take the time one more time to just thank you so much for being a part of this journey with me. If you like this video and you want to see more stuff like this, maybe I will do another reseller Q&A in the future. Who knows? But don't forget to press that like button, and don't forget to subscribe so that you get to continue on this journey with me as a part-time reseller. Thank you guys so much. I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!